You've probably seen Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece, The Last Supper, 100 times, but have you ever heard the legend behind it? It's this incredible story that people have been telling for centuries. And maybe it's not literally true, but the reason it sticks around is because of the powerful human truth it gets at. So, let's get into this tale of two faces.
So, the story goes like this. Da Vinci is looking for the perfect models. To paint Jesus, he finds this young man whose face just radiates purity, innocence, beauty. It's almost unreal. He captures it perfectly. But then, years go by. The painting's almost done, but he's missing one crucial face, Judas. So he scours the city, looking for a face that just screams betrayal and despair, and he finally finds it in a dungeon, this broken, hardened prisoner who's about to be executed. Perfect. But when Da Vinci finishes, the prisoner looks at him and says, "Don't you recognize me? Years ago, I was your model for Jesus."
Now, again, did this actually happen? Who knows? But honestly, it doesn't matter. The reason this story has survived is because it points to something we all kind of know is true, that inside any one of us, there's the potential for both. The purest soul can get worn down, corrupted by life. It's a story about the two faces that can exist in the exact same person.
Okay, so let's move from that powerful legend to the source material itself. Our case file, if you will, is the Gospel of John, chapter 13. This is where we get the blow-by-blow account of the Last Supper, and this is where the story of Judas's betrayal really unfolds. Can you just feel the air get sucked out of the room with those words? I mean, talk about a bombshell. The whole atmosphere just shatters. Imagine being there, looking around at your best friends, the people you've shared everything with, and thinking, which one? Who could it possibly be? It's so easy for us to just slap the villain label on Judas, right? To think of him as this cartoonishly evil guy from the very beginning. But the text, it paints a picture that is so much more complicated and, frankly, so much more tragic. So who was he really? See, Judas wasn't some outsider looking in. He was a core member of the inner circle, a highly respected one. He was the group's treasurer. That's a huge position of trust. And get this, one of the other disciples, Matthew, was a professional tax collector. I mean, he was literally a numbers guy. He's the obvious choice for treasurer, but they chose Judas instead. That tells you just how capable, how intelligent, and how trustworthy everyone, including Jesus, thought he was. And that makes what happens next even more devastating. But here's where the story takes a turn you might not expect. It doesn't just focus on the bad guy. It zooms right in on Jesus' response. And the text says he was troubled in spirit. That little detail is absolutely key.
The original Greek word they used here is tarasso, and this doesn't just mean bummed out or worried. It's a word that describes a violent, chaotic upheaval. It's like a perfectly calm ocean suddenly being ripped apart by a hurricane. This wasn't about him being afraid of dying. The source of this agony was way, way deeper.
His heart was breaking, not for what was about to happen to him, but for what his friend was choosing to do. It was the sorrow of a parent who has to stand by and watch their own child willingly walk down a path that will destroy them. It's an agony that comes from love, not from fear.
And right in the middle of this internal storm, Jesus does something that is so widely misunderstood. He dips a piece of bread and he gives it to Judas. Now, in our world, that sounds like he's calling him out, right? Here's the guy. But in that culture, it was the exact opposite. This was the highest gesture of honor a host could give. It was a way of singling someone out and saying, you are the most loved, the most cherished person at this table. It was one last, unconditional, desperate appeal of love.
So this is it. This is the moment of truth. Jesus offers this incredible, profound gesture of love, even though he knows exactly what Judas is about to do. And everything, absolutely everything, hinges on what happens next.
Judas takes the bread, and he gets up and he leaves. And the verse ends with four of the most simple, powerful, and bone-chilling words ever written. And it was night.
And you just know, that's not just a description of the time of day, it's a spiritual statement. In turning his back on the one they called the light of the world, Judas chose to walk into a permanent spiritual darkness. He made his choice, and the consequence was an eternal night.
So why does this story from 2,000 years ago still hit so hard? Because at a certain point, it stops being about them and starts being about us. It turns into a mirror. This story forces us to see the Judas in ourselves. You know, those moments where we trust our own plans, our own calculations, above all else. The times when we're offered grace, this undeserved love or forgiveness, and just like Judas, we turn it down.
We choose our own plan instead. We walk out of the light and into a night that we made for ourselves.
So ultimately, this tale of two faces, both in the legend of the painting and in the biblical text, it leaves all of us with a question. When we're at our own crossroads, when we are offered that same profound grace, even when we don't deserve it, what will we choose? Our own calculated darkness or the unconditional light?